Network.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Perspective. We are back in the building. First, want to give a shout out to my co-host, the illustrious, uncomparable Miss Latoya Doc. She's went ahead and been gracious and let us kind of keep the platform and keep the meeting going. So it's the men's meeting, and we're back. This is continued from last week. I won't do the extended introductions, because if you want to know everybody and a little bit more about them, go back and look at last week's show and you'll get those details. But with that being said, I always want to remind this is Perspective, and the premise really of this platform is right there in the name. It's about different perspectives. So if there's different things, different points of views, different lived experiences, different opinions, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're right and they're wrong and they're right and you're wrong. It simply means it's different. So if there's differences, we want to discuss those things, have a here to listen so we can understand, which brings us close together. And that is really what we want to try to accomplish here on Perspective. But with that being said, we're going to get into it. We are now in the men's meeting. It's being continued from last week. So this is kind of an open forum. So the men may introduce different topics that they would like to discuss. We definitely want the questions and the comments from our viewers. Definitely want to involve that. And before we get into it, I'm going to read some of the comments that we may have right now. And as we always open up with, there he is, Mr. Ben Sutter III. And if you don't recognize, he puts the BS3 into the BS3 network. And he says you can support BS3 network by sending stars. Those stars help us earn money to continue building the network. And we thank you. Definitely want to say that the BS3 network is a quality network. I encourage you to go on to all of our media outlets. Check out some of the other shows. There's some really good shows, some really excellent things to that fits everyone in every walk of life. So if you can support by doing the Thought Stars, definitely do so. Let me see here. All right. The Lexus Butler is in the building. She says, "Hey guys.
What's going on, family?"
What it do though?
And if anybody doesn't recognize that name, that's a name of royalty. That's my baby bird right there. So I appreciate her being here in support. All right, who else we got? All right, Miss Steph. Hey, how you doing? Hey, everyone. Hey, you. Then we got a Facebook user. Hello, how are you, gentlemen? Well, I'm platinum. I refuse to be anything less.
Not on platinum.
Now, y'all, yeah, absolutely. And y'all can speak back to them because they definitely listening, looking for you. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, I really wanted to. I don't have the question in front of me. There was a question. Harold had an opportunity to kind of answer the question. And go into it a little bit, but I think we were talking about men's mental health. June was Men's Mental Health Month, and this is a continuation of that conversation. So a lot of our topics will be around that, and we can kind of jump into it. I know the question was geared around how can with men's mental health, but is it something that do men and women, or do they lean on therapy too much? Do we talk about mental health too much? And how can it be effective in kind of rejoining men and women in that perspective? Mm-hmm. So Harold kind of gave a answer and a response, but I definitely want to allow, Scotty, Cusp, and Carlos an opportunity to respond to that question. Mm-hmm. We can start here. Hey, don't be scared. Jump right in, gentlemen.
Well, I think, one of the things that I really was, I would say the staple I was passionate about was, I don't think that we have any real outlets, because I don't think that, we are allowed that space to say, hey, we need a mental health break. Um, like, not being funny, but I've worked in a lot of, I've had a lot of jobs. I've worked in customer service for most of my life, and then I transitioned into education. But the reason why I set that up is, or I say that, is because I've worked at a lot of places where, you get your sick days, you get your, you get your vacation days, but that's all you get, right? So if you need a mental health day, it has to come out of one of those. The one thing that I do love about being in education is there is a high regard for teachers' mental health. I can't lie to you. And if you just, in most cases, if you decide to take a day off, nobody's gonna really, it's not a crazy deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I love about the profession. But I've been in in other situations in other places where, it's forbidden for you to just be like, man, I need today. If I can, I feel like I can wake up on a Tuesday at 6:30 and be like, you know what, today ain't it. And if I do that, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think on a as a whole, as a society, I don't think that most professions allow you to have mental health days. I think you are looked at as um probably mentally, I won't say weak, but you ain't, you're not the strongest, crayon in the box.
Nah, I can dig it. Carlos.
I mean, he pretty much covered it. Like I said, we last year or year before that, prior. I mean, like I said, I've who hears mental health month, or especially in the black community, like it's something that I guess we it could be a risque or taboo subject to talk about. And being men, it's you just deal with that shit. Whatever you got going on in your life,
Bluetooth disconnected.
you just deal with it.
Bluetooth connected.
Hello?
No, you good. Go
Bluetooth
ahead.
disconnected.
Yeah, you just deal with it because you're a man, and that's just what you're supposed to do. Despite we have problems too, we have issues too, we have battles as well, but it's just one of those things where you put that fucking cape on and you got to be Superman. And it's a lot of men out there that are like they just can't deal with it, and every day they're killing themselves, man. We're sitting here, talking, joking around, laughing, and then motherfucker blow their brains out, and you just sat there and had a conversation with them, or you were just hanging out with them, and no signs, no nothing, but it's kind of hard for us to be like, hey, check this out, man. I got this going on, because like I said, we don't want to feel like we're weak. Like I said, it's just pretty much one of those things where you just carry it, and you just deal with it, because that's just what we're designed to do. We're designed to be strong, and we're designed to tough the shit out.
Gotcha. Cuss.
I guess my thoughts on it is I'm gonna be a bit of a different perspective. It's not so much in talking about why there's not much access, or what we can't do, or what that really means in relation to our grounding. I'm really big on starting with first, and that's how I communicate, because the practices are in the person themselves. And if you can at least do a little bit of what's necessary to get beyond the confinement of we can't do it, and or there is not much access, create access. We have the capacity to create our own lanes. That's the integrity that we are driven off of, but we only use it in areas where it benefit other people. And so I think a lot of the aligning of our mental health will come in regards to, are you mental to your health? So that basically is asking you, are you identifying with yourself? how mindful are you to your health? And a lot of times we only just eat what we want to eat because it tastes good to us. And then we will follow behind and deal with the consequences later and act like they didn't exist. And so there's a very fine line in accepting that we know what the fuck we doing, but when do we know when we're going to stop? And that's when our mental has to again align with healthy lifestyle, healthy social life, the healthy whatever aspect of opportunity you have in front of you. It's a matter of what you're going to do with it and how you're going to achieve it. And that's what I like to identify in people. What is your mental health? I'm speaking to you mindfully. I want to know who you are and try to at least add a little bit more value.
I
And
think
that's what will change the narrative. Because right now we just talking about the same shit at the same time, doing the same things.
let me ask you this, cause to piggyback with what you just said, and this kind of follows up with really what Carlos was saying. But for example, I think what you're saying is as our responsibility, right? Like to take care of ourselves. These are the steps that we need to take, right? Um, I think what I'm saying is I don't think the world, right? Like I don't think professionally in the world it's promoted enough to where society is allowed to accept it. Let me give you an example, right? In education, one of the things that we are taught is you never know what a kid is going through, right? So you got to be mindful of your approach because you can't approach everybody the same way. You might be talking to somebody who is moving house to house, hasn't had a real meal in 3 days. They ain't trying to hear what you're talking about as far as why you ain't paying attention in class. Nigga, I'm starving. That's why I'm not paying attention in class, right?
Mhm.
So, but what I'm saying is now when I pull myself out of that basket, there's not another profession that takes care of the internal customers in that manner, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like in customer service, we always talked about your external customers, your internal customers. But what do we do professionally to promote mental health for our external customers? You feel what I'm saying? Like, what if there's for? I know there used to be customer service week, which was a joke. You feel what I'm saying? Almost, I don't want to call mental health month a joke, but what I'm saying is, who's paying attention to it to make it real?
And I think
Because
it's
go ahead.
becoming real because of where we are now. We're having a conversation about it. And I think it just becomes like this echo chamber that we're starting to sound the same. And so it's just let's tweak the volume a little bit and move it in a direction to where now when I get off of this conversation, I'm left with something I could use. A lot of times we just get confined to just what we can't do because we don't have access to or what somebody else doesn't allow us to. Like, I want to learn your ways, Scotty. I want to learn your ways, Carlos, Harold, Intellect. Let me learn your ways so I can take advantage of what I need to do on my end. That is the mental of being healthy. And that's what I want to try to at least convey because I get tired of the same talk about what we don't have access to. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll create access and then share with others how to get to that access. Or shit, at least be around me so we can vibrate on the same access.
No, okay. I didn't want to interrupt, but man, I can dig it and I see it on both ends because what I'm, as Cuss was talking, the main thing that hit my mind was the word action, action, action kept coming up to mind because it's and I think Dante says it clearly. It's like, well, man, okay, we talked about it and we know it's there. We've identified it. So if we're going to talk, let's talk about what's actionable things that we can do in order to affect change or to create the change. And I think having a discussion is important because I've been guilty of thinking, well, because I'm familiar with something or I perceive something a certain way, that many others would understand that, okay, that's not a good thing to do, or that's not a healthy thing to do. And they're not. So I think having a discussion is going to be impactful, just so they can understand other cats have been through some things, deal with the same type of things, and then most importantly, we share what we've done to affect that change, whether you want to call it growth, healing, or whatever. One of the questions I wanted to pose, it's a great segue, is so how can we encourage Black men to like seek help for not and I'll tweak it a little bit, not even to seek help for their mental concerns, but actually what actions can they take for those mental concerns, like considering the barriers that they may face, such as the cultural stigmas. I think that goes along with what Carlos said. As Black men, or as men in general, we got to grab the cape and go get it done. It's really like pour some tussin in it and keep on going. Just pour some tussin on it and let's keep on moving. And Dante hit this one, so I love to hear him. The lack of access to mental health resources, is that real? Isn't not? I think in last week, I think Harold touched on it. He said we actually have that. We just haven't labeled it. When you get with your partners and you unload and share the commonalities, and then y'all talk about actions you may have taken to help that, I think that is access to the resources. And then the mistrust in the healthcare system. So,
all right. Well, brother, I would like to jump in on that if you're okay. Right. And so when we talk about action, I think we got to start communicating better. Right. Like the one thing that our families and our wives have said to us is that we don't do a good job as men of communicating. Right. And so when I need help, I need to communicate that. When I don't have the answer, I need to communicate that. When I need a resource or a plug, or I need something, it's okay to say you need something, right? We got to get to a place, in the Black male community where it's okay to say, hey, I need help. Hey, I don't have the answer. Can you show me? Do you know somebody who can help me? I think when we start communicating more, then I think that humanizes us. And to connect what Knox is saying and what Cusp was saying is that it's true. The masses don't really care. They don't have a space for us, right? But the only way to make space for us is that we got to speak up and be heard, right? Like too often, Black men are seen as out of control, right? No self accountability, no self control. We're seen showing out, right? Like we out dipping and dodging. We at the butt naked club. We in the liquor store. We out here smoking and drinking. We out here partying, having a good time. We old men trying to be young men. We're showing all of the behaviors that we need help and support, instead of just asking or saying, hey, help me with this thing, instead of all of these excess behaviors that we're now having to fix, because those issues create more problems. And then instead of looking at what happened to you, we're saying, well, what did you do wrong? What did you do next? And so for me, it always starts about, man, communicate, right? When I'm talking to my sons, it's always like, man, communicate to me. What happened today? What you go through today? What's going on today? What happened with your friend? What happened with these girls? What happened with your mom? And so I think we got to do a better job of encouraging our young men and our older men to communicate and express themselves outside of anger. Like, I mean, that's the space that it seems like that's the only place where we feel comfortable, is being angry, being upset. That's why the violence and all the other stuff is occurring, right? Over 4th of July and all these. We don't do a good job of allowing and teaching our young Black men to communicate and express what they feel.
Let me ask this just to, collectively, like when we were young men, how did y'all handle it? How did we handle it? Because we have to always be able to have that bridge to go right back in time of where we used to be. We love to talk at the young men and let them know all of their issues and what they have going on. But we were young men too. What the hell was we doing? What we have going on? What did we feel at that time? How did we think? How did we approach life? What decision making did we make? How did we feel about the upbringing around our family? Like, those are questions that we can ask right now to at least get a better feel of what these young men are experiencing, because we are those young men now.
I feel. Oh, my fault.
No, you're good. Before you answer, let's definitely get into the comments. There have been some comments that came up. First time joining. Hey, y'all. Hey, Facebook user.
What up, dog?
Yeah, and you can give Facebook permission to share your name. We definitely want to address you appropriately. And then another Facebook user said, there's a stigma associated with mental health that greatly affects men of color. And I think we're commenting on that. Alexis says, all solutions create the access. Agreed, Cusp. All right. And the Facebook user says, I think we can face Black men's mental health like a white man's mental health. Say we need more Black men professional therapists. And what are your thoughts on that?
I can tell you really quickly, a Black man's mental health is totally different than a white man's mental health. It's we have totally different issues, totally different concerns.
You know what?
But to the comments point, I mean, yes, I mean we need to address it with the same level of care, but the type of issues we have are totally different.
See, that's the thing with me, right? Like I understand we got different issues, but I feel like that's the problem. The problem is everything always starts with color, right? Like I firmly believe this. I know that it's a balance of old school, new school thinking, but I feel like most progressive people think green before they think anything else, right? And I think that because of that fact, when it comes to our mental health as men, no matter what color you are, and granted, yes, our issues are different, but the result could be the same if they're not met. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I was a person, as a young person, I'll be honest with you, I used to be like, I could never imagine committing suicide. Right? Like in my own personal mind, I'd never understood how somebody could be under so much mental pressure and mental strain that exiting your life is the best solution that you got. You feel what I'm saying? I couldn't even relate. You know,
now, I can relate to that because I am one who experienced it on my level. I'm the artist, the quiet one, the weird one, the one that grew up in school to where I used to write poems and stuff about death and darkness all the time. My mom actually had to come up to the school because one of the teachers found my backpack with a lot of these poems written in it. And they sent me to the counselor, had a whole counselor meeting about it. However, it wasn't just about, oh, I want to die. I actually was interested in it. So it's a matter of really tapping into what these kids are interested in. We ain't communicating like Harold was saying. We got to have just more conversations. Let me entice you in the world you want to be in. And that's what I communicate on. I do it with my kids all the time. Let me learn your ways so I can communicate with you better.
Cuz when you say I was interested in it, do you mean like just interested in death and just like death period?
Yeah, just period. I gravitated towards it.
No, I did.
I didn't understand it, what I was experiencing, but it was an area I tapped into. It even got more extreme as I evolved over time. And I think I was around 26, 27. I stayed in Timberlawn. That's a mental health facility that is right outside of Dallas because I decided to take it upon myself and do an act because in my feeling and in my mind, I didn't know if I wanted to be here anymore.
And
see, the thing is like a lot of people would say, oh, well, we don't know what these people go through, what they experience. It's not what we go through. It's just how it's feeling that can't be conceptualized. It's a common thing. And that's why I was speaking on the last part about the soul. We got to communicate at a level to how we're tapping in, because the question we asking each other is how do you define and find your peace? We all have it regardless of what we go through. Scotty, you got it. Like if I'm asking you directly, hey, Scotty, where your peace at? Yeah, you got a lot of shit going on, but where your peace? What you do? And you're going to go directly there because that's your place of rest. That's your peace. And that's what I'm trying to build on. I'm trying to connect on a soul level because there are areas that no therapist, no psychiatrist will be able to tap into. Because think about it. They're going to keep diagnosing you until you end up strapped up or in somebody's seat in a facility. Because at that point, they don't know that level of communication.
But do you think that there's a safe space? See, I don't think there's a safe space. I think, for example, you went through what you went through probably 25 years ago, right? And I'm saying that in that time frame, right? There's still not a safe space. If your child was having the same thoughts you was having at the same age, there's not a safe space for your child. Now, your child is fortunate enough to have you as a father, and because you've experienced certain things, you can relate, right?
And that's what had happened in that conversation I had with her from the last part. I mentioned about her also having those soulful effects that she didn't understand why she was feeling the way she was feeling. And she appreciated me sharing that part to her. And one thing she told me, she said, Daddy, I wouldn't have never known because you just dress so tight and you just look so good going to work and just being fine. But on the inside, I was destroyed. But think about it. Our bodies is only a vessel. We carry it around all the time in order to appease others' perspectives. But in the midst of who we are, which is our soul, that's where the common work of purpose has to really be captured. And if we ain't doing that, man, we're going to be having these conversations for a long time.
You know who had it figured out? Al Bundy, when he had no ma'am. That's what we need. We got to have like no ma'am, but not no ma'am like we anti-women. Like I think however you get down, you feel what I'm saying? Like, but those circles, those spaces need to be created. Like men need a version of paint and sip. You get what I'm saying? Like we need a version of something like that you can go do by yourself. You don't got to show up with your homie. You don't got to go with a group of people. I can walk in and there's going to be 30 other people in here that's on the same energy that I got. You feel what I'm saying? But I feel like most of the places where men can go do that are unhealthy environments, right? Bars. You know what I'm saying? Strip clubs. We're going to places where we're going to be condemned for going. You feel what I'm saying? But these are, unfortunately, these are how we were shown. I mean, because I don't know I wish I would have jumped on it right when you said it. I think Cuss said it. But if I remember correctly, you said something about like, how did we deal with it when we was younger, right? And I've been thinking like, I've been probably self-medicating myself the majority of my life. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like most, I don't say like most because that's an assumption, but I assume like a lot of people in our culture and other cultures. Yeah, but I'm saying people who drink, people who do pop pills, whatever
women
you do.
We self-medicate through women.
It doesn't have to be the substances we think of. Sometimes the lotion is food. It could be.
That was amazing, by the way. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah. Most men self-medicate to make it through because we don't communicate, right?
I mean, I might need to use that. So I'm quoting you on that. I might need that.
Appreciate that. Hey, I just need name rights. We good. I'm make some money off of it eventually one day.
I'll be like, baby, I wasn't cheating. I was self-medicating.
That's self-care, baby. That's self-care.
Right. Mental Health Month. You owe me one.
Hey, let me read the comments. I wanted to make sure I got Shai's comment. She said, "Yes, please communicate that you need us to hold space for you all." She said, "We can't help if we don't know." And then Ms. Steph says, "Agreed, intellect. Said everyone comes from different perspectives and backgrounds, both male and female, but we are trying to influence the masses or those in our reachable communities." She says, "Where's the patience that is required?" That's good question. And then Facebook user said, "This is Aspen. Well, thank you for being with us, Aspen. We appreciate you." And again, Shai said, "Cuss, thank you for sharing your story." And then we got Brandon Reynolds. He says, "Great point,
bro. What that's happening?"
And Alexis Butler says, "Facts, Scott."
What I gotta do to get Alexis to say something nice about me? God dog, I'm out here working hard. Good job. I'm thinking double time. Like I gotta say something real smart to get a positive comment from your daughter, man. Like that, dog. I'd have known her forever.
Hey man, let my son set before you try to let yours. He ain't let my son set. I was shining. He said, "Hey man, I'll get some of that over there. I would like to try some of that."
Listen to the question. Dante asked, so like, how did you deal with it as a youth? Carlos and myself, Harold, we got any responses to that? Like specifically, like the stresses, those issues when you were youth. How did you approach it and address it?
Carlos, what you think? Before I start talking, what you think, man?
Growing up,
yeah.
I mean, I grew up in a household. Both my parents were in the military. I feared my dad, so I didn't like a lot of shit I hear my friends did when they grew up, like sneaking out and lying and all that. I didn't do none of that shit. I was square. Like I was very square. I didn't hear "I love you" in the household. I couldn't recall ever hearing that unless my dad was drunk. Didn't hear it from my mom. But I had a good I guess you could say upbringing. I mean, like I said, my parents were in the military. I always had lights on, always had food, and I had friends that, didn't have, to me, like that basic stuff. I was always, I guess you could say, protected. Of course, there are things that I wanted, but I got what I needed, if that makes any sense. But as far as mental health, like I said, you just like didn't hear it.
Like what was it that you did to kind of work through that? Because I mean, you say it was a certain level of I like to say deference. So it was a healthy respect for your father and his rules.
I mean, I just did. I mean, I did what I was told. I mean,
that's what I know because I
got my ass whooped a few times and didn't like it.
And I was thinking deal with it is what I was saying. I definitely want Harold.
So I didn't go against the rules. I didn't break the rules. I followed instruction, and but like I said, just I can't think of I mean, I never wanted to kill myself growing up. I never thought of I don't know, man. God damn, that's so long ago. Like how I am today. And Butler can tell you, you will never know I'm having a bad day. And I could be having the worst fucking day. I could be in the worst hole, but you will see me joking. You will see me smiling. I will put up crazy shit on the book, but you will never know. And it's crazy, like, because like I said, Butler knows me. Butler's known of me, and everyone, just thinks Carlos has it so well. And I do, don't get me wrong, but I got a lot of shit going on in my life. If you really knew what I go through on a daily and what I'm dealing with daily, you'd be like, how the fuck is he doing this? Like, how is he doing that? Like, it just goes back to, like, I have no choice but to do what I got to do. I have no choice but to carry this, because nobody is going to come in. And that's how I feel. Nobody's going to come in and fix my problems. Nobody's going to come in and just be like, you know what, Carlos, give me that shit. I got it. So it's like I have no choice but to, but to like, I tell my son every day, like, you have no idea what it's like to have something on earth that I wake up every day and I'm just like, just let me live for this motherfucker. Till I get him where he needs to get to where I'm comfortable letting him go. Because I always tell him, sometimes I'm still holding your dick, son, and you gotta hold that motherfucker on your own. Like, there's something that I gotta stop doing for you, yet I'm still doing it. So it's like I just try to wake up, have good days, and end my good days with good nights. That's my goal.
That's good.
You know, real quick. I'm not gonna be long-winded, but you know what Carlos made me think of? When you are the person people call on, there is no relief for that person.
You know what? And I told somebody that, like, who's gonna fix me? Because I can fix so many people. I fix so many people. I help so many people. But who is going to fix Carlos? And the answer is nobody.
Nobody.
The answer is Carlos.
And what I let people do it, I probably wouldn't, just because of how I am. Because I feel like you got to take care of that shit, Carlos. You got to make that shit happen. Don't let nobody else do that. And maybe that's wrong. You know, maybe I should let people in, but I'm fucking 46 years old. I'm set in my ways, you know, and I'm just like, that's just how I am.
Hey man, when I was in the hospital, right? I ended up, after my surgery, I ended up with drop foot, right? Which I can't feel my left foot. Like, I have a little bit of sensation in it, but I really can't feel it, right? And so they used to ask me all the time, like the chaplain would come in and be like, "Do you want to talk to somebody?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, somebody who can make my foot work." You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have a conversation with somebody about my foot not working unless they can fix my foot. If my foot's gonna be the same after the conversation, no, save that. I'd rather watch some television. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my personal approach. And I'm saying that maybe I should have talked to somebody. Maybe I should have said, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, man, I want to talk to somebody about how I feel." But I think that as men, unfortunately, some of us, we are bottom line people, right? So what's the bottom line? That's kind of how we operate, which is why it's so hard for some of us to just listen. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you said, when your woman start talking to you about a problem, you automatically go, "Well, how we gonna fix it?"
Yeah.
When really she don't want to fix it. She like going to that broke environment every day. She loves to go there and complain about the coworker who talk too loud and the lady who wear the nasty pants or whatever's going on. But she gets a kick, like that's her life. That's her everyday cycle. She just want to talk to you about it. And you get what I'm saying? So I feel like men, we don't have that place where, in most cases, or sometimes we don't realize it because we don't realize we can just call some of our friends and talk about nothing. A lot of us don't like our own time wasted. Like, we don't want you to call me and talk about nothing, right? Like, I got too much going on in a day to sit here and talk to you about nothing. But if you're calling me about something and then the conversation ends up being 45 minutes, then that's just how it is. And sometimes that's where we get our, you know, that's where we get to vent. That's where we have our girlfriend's moment and be like, "Oh, you know." But I don't think it's encouraged, man. I think that's the problem. And I wish it was encouraged more professionally. I wish that more companies cared about their internal customers more. Like, I used to always say, man, if you think about it, right? I think down here in Texas, what y'all call them, DPS, right?
What you
DPS, DMV, depending on where you at. Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation and Safety. I don't, depending on where you are, they call different things, right? But if you've ever had to go get your license renewed, any of that stuff, right? Them people attitudes be terrible.
Yeah.
Right? But if you realize it, nobody ever pulls them aside at their job and goes, "Your attitude is terrible." Right? There's no coaching. There's no training.
Or what may be going on with them. Like you said earlier.
But I'm saying the fact of the matter is nobody is proactively pulling somebody aside and going, "Hey, yeah, is everything all right? Because you're coming off a little rough." You feel what I'm saying? Even if you just you need Social Security and you need utility bill. All right, bye. Go to the back of the line. Feel what I'm saying? Like, there's a way to talk to everybody about anything. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like because of the fact that, and mind you, these are government agencies, right? So if the government don't do it, corporations don't got to do it. Companies don't.
They're not going to do it. We already know.
Hold on. There's a handful of companies right? Your Googles, your Apples, your Microsofts, they really care about their internal customers because that's why they work 4 days a week, 10 hours a week. You know, they do their 40 in 10 days. They got fitness facilities and all type of foolishness and daycares at work. Why? Because we're here to make your life here. Let's put you in a situation where all we need you to do is worry about coming to work. You know, worry about daycare. Your kids is right here where you dropped them off. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to, and somebody's coming in and going, you know, hey, is everything okay? Sometimes, you know, we know you got stuff going on in life, but remember, if this company don't do a certain number, things ain't gonna go a certain way. Everybody ain't gonna have a job. So let's put a smile on our face and try to make every customer we can, which is the reality. I know you gotta say it a different way, but you feel what I'm saying? I just feel like professionally, if we instilled it, we would go so much further as a people. But unfortunately, everything is analytics.
Again, I don't think we should.
And also, let's keep it a buck. I mean, professionally, they don't want to have those conversations with us, because if we have started having those deeper level conversations, a lot of us would leave our corporate jobs and then go start opening our own businesses.
That's
so
a whole nother
let's keep it a buck. They're not ever gonna want. They don't want enlightenment in the building, because then that would undermine all of what corporate America is. And to Dante's point earlier, when you asked the question, you know, it's like, so what did we do younger, or what should we do younger? For me, it was spiritual, man. Like, you know, I tapped into the creator, man. I tapped in, man, middle school, right? Because I had a lot of stuff that was going on in middle school, not family, because I had a great family, but just a lot of personal stuff going on, being a square growing up in the country. And so I tapped into church and spirituality at a very early age. And so a lot of my frustrations and struggles were not external, right? It was no weed and acting a fool and staying out late. All of my conversations were all internal from a very early age. And for me, it was all about understanding like my purpose and what the creator had for me. And I would even ask the group this question, if that's okay, Cullen, and just kind of go in a different direction. I mean, how come we don't have the conversations about spirituality with men? Why don't we have those? Like, you know, to your point, you know, Dante, you're just talking about soul and understanding like what we go through as men. How come we don't ever have no conversation, spiritual conversation about, you know, from one man to the next? I know you and I know, Butler, we have them all the time, right? Yeah, I mean, it's been years and years of those conversations. Yeah. But I just wonder that there's an issue, there's a block there between men in church, men in spirituality, and particularly Black men. And so I wonder what that barrier is.
Cusp, I want you to answer that, but let me hit these comments. We got quite a few, and then definitely I want you to answer that question. Alexis says, "We get in there, Harold." And then Facebook says, "When you are dealing with a lot of pressure and you fall down that hole, how do you want your wife or partner to help you navigate those emotions?" So let's table that question. And then Alexis says, mental health doesn't always equal to suicide thoughts, though. That sometimes it results to how you treat others, how you express your emotions. And so
that's good.
Socially and professionally.
That's good.
And then she followed up with, I also do believe men need safe space with their bros and OGs. Say women sometimes can create that space that's needed. Facebook user says many times mental instabilities are masked as characteristics, especially in our community. Say we are comfortable with labeling our men as lazy, ruthless, stubborn, but depressed, bipolar, having PTSD. Nah, she say that can't be it. So having proper verbiage and understanding is necessary as well.
That's good.
Yeah. And then Ben says, good evening, fellas. Good evening to you. Okay, it came in, Harold.
I don't know. He had to campaign for it. It ain't the same.
I don't get wrong with politicking for yourself. You can't do it for yourself. You're talking about the Jordan fist. I'm gonna get it.
He say, Can you let my son set before you just?
Hey, he said, I ain't gonna ask for it, but I'm just saying it would be nice if somebody nominated
Nice,
it.
you know what I'm saying? Encourage yourself. That's what the song say. You gotta encourage yourself.
Hey, to turn it around back on Cusp. He posed that question. I definitely like you to take the opportunity to talk about that, about the spirituality. And I'm gonna try to lamanize, but Harold, you can repose the question. But he was talking about why we don't have more conversation within the men's community. The men community, or men don't have conversations more about spirituality and how that can be effective.
Again, it's hard for me to answer only because I share such a different range of perspective. But one of the things that I always think about is where is a person's ego before when I get to know them? Because a lot of times, just like the person said on the comment, characteristics, they have a character in front of you. I don't know you yet. So for me to break that barrier down, I speak on things that justify their passions or their peace, because naturally a person would speak on the things that they like or love, and then you just carry it forward. That's how you kind of break it down. And then from there, you can have that soul level conversation. It's not about, oh, well, let's talk about where you're grounded in relation to religion or whatever other deity somebody might be, in reverence with. It's a matter of, okay, now how does that translate into their works? Show your works to show self-approved. That's what I'm checking for. Your works and goodness. And so I don't have to actually be confirmed a title of what your religious association is in order to know if you're a good heart, good person. And so again, once that barrier is broken down, it allows me a lot more room to be able to just learn the person. When you learn their ways, and then ultimately you could pretty much put them in the pocket or the bucket that is needed. But I think men from that instance still are able to at least find a common ground in safe space. We have safe spaces. Like, what is this dialect of, where men need safe spaces? Like, fuck out of here. We got that already. We go to those spaces. And even if we're not in those spaces, I guarantee we find an outlet through our social world in devices we pick up. And there are certain things we follow that we enjoy. There are certain areas that we pick up on that engages us and we can build off of. So there is too many connectors for us to discount where this space don't exist. Just because we ain't out brunching with a bunch of goofies don't mean that we don't have these safe spaces. We are in existence just like we are now. And I can pick up on everybody's passion and what they trying to get to. But we just got to break down that ego. And once that happens, we'll have a common ground because we all are trying to get to the same space. I want to know where you going, where you at in life. What can I do to help you? That's it. I can't take shit I got with me. That's what the great Paul Mooney said. There is no Brinks truck following nobody to the cemetery. So do what you can for the people that are around you and build from there. Learn mental health through what you do for others. That shit feels good. Try it sometime.
He said, try it sometime. I like it. Harold, any feedback on that, Carlos? Now, for that question, what I will say is that why most men, I think it's, and the reason I'm having a hard time because how do you really step into the mind of so many or try to address so many variables when it comes to spirituality? Because we know that there's been a big shift. Someone who was raised in a small town, raised in church as a Baptist, and I've taken my journey, non-denominational, even 7-day Adventist, and looked at and, of course, done my own deep dive, which has brought me to where I am currently. I think about fear because Dante brings up ego a lot, and I don't think many individuals really pay attention to the impact that ego has, how it dictates your decisions, what you buy, what you do, how you respond, and most importantly, the pressures that it can put onto you mentally. Because I think ego is always paying attention to outside things, where spirituality is really an internal thing. And you really got to be honest with yourself. And I think you don't, because it's like with me, ego and fear kind of go hand in hand, because you don't want to show yourself as being not having it all together, not having all the answers. And once you can break that down, I think that you enter into a space where you can have that conversation. Now, we know that there are different facets, as Dante mentioned. There's different spiritual deities that individuals go, whether it's God, Jesus, who I know the Trinity, so don't write me about that. I understand. Or if it's Buddha, Allah, Hindu, even if you're an atheist or a naturalist, the universe, whatever it may be for you, I think having a conversation and people being open to that, to listen to that, because I promise commonality that will bring you to a place. So if you're in Christianity, the Bible is going to be your focus. There's so many precepts in there. I don't care about whether you believe it, whether you accepted Jesus Christ. You read that joker, there is going to be very practical and applicable things that are going to help you manage anything that you run into. You read the Quran, same thing. You read any other spiritual literature, you're going to come to those precepts. But you really have to open up, get outside of your ego, not be afraid of who you are, talk about the things you deal with, and allow someone in. Because if you don't tell anybody, as one in the comment, if you don't let anybody know that you need space, and I will use space for that term, or you need someone to have some understanding and listen to you from a different perspective, then you'll never get there. So you have to, and to me, humility, this is what I would say. The strongest thing a man can display is freaking humility, because it is hard. It is hard to open up that soft underbelly. It is hard. When you do, and you have the right person there to put the right salve on that scar, on that sensitive area, then you'll expound and expand and elevate in ways that you never can tell. So,
why is ego a bad thing, though?
Never said it was a bad thing, but we can get into it. Let's get into it.
I just okay. Maybe I took that the wrong way. My bad.
No. Balance is key, man. Balance, and you know me, man. Balance is my key word. So I think you have to have some of that. Positive self-talk, have an expectation that you can get a thing done. Impossible, difficult things we do immediately.
And ego
takes me.
And ego tell.
Go ahead, Dante.
Ego also is what tells you everything you want to hear and you want to know, regardless what anybody else says. It creates such a strong independence and disconnect from people that they don't know where and how to create a way in so they could nurture that which you need. So men, we tend to create those egos, and then we say, nobody know what the fuck I'm going through. That's ego. It's because now we created a barrier of people who we're not going to allow to have access.
What is like the definition of ego? What is ego?
Your lower self.
So when you say your lower self,
either one. I like inner is easier. Can be an easier term, Dante.
So my inner self is my ego.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
your ego is your external self. Your inner self is what tried to make it better. But your external self is what suppresses it. So whatever your external self and what people perceive of you and how you want them to perceive of you is exactly your ego. Now, once you align it with your inner self, then humility comes in play, and what Eric was talking about.
So are we saying that if I have a lot of ego, then I'm lacking humility?
You don't identify with it.
Yeah, because I think not. Some people use ego and like self-confidence, self-image, self-worth as very
like
similar.
ego cockiness, right? Like ego
Right, right.
cocky.
And
Right,
so
okay.
from a mental health side of things, your ego is that deeper part of who you are, right? At your core as a human being that nobody has access to, right? You make your decisions based upon your ego, right? Right. So as a man thinketh, so is he. And so how you really think about yourself and about people, that's a reflection of how you
You
act,
know what's
right?
interesting, Harold? I didn't know that they have it documented in reverse on the clinical side, because it
Mm-hmm.
actually is not supposed to be documented that way, because it
Mm-hmm.
gives an
Mm-hmm.
inverted impression of what ego
Mm-hmm.
actually is. I get where
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from, but the way it's documented on the
Mm-hmm.
therapy side,
Yeah.
man, from ancient scripture, man, that's false, because
Yeah.
it confuses people. Like, we're having this conversation. I'm speaking on ego of being external self. You're speaking on
Mm-hmm.
ego of being
It's
internal self.
internal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
I'm completely confused either way. Like I
exactly,
don't.
and that's
I'm sorry I asked the question.
nah, you're good.
Hey, let me get to these comments.
Hey, can I say one thing real quick, Butler, before you
Yeah,
jump in?
there's some questions.
And as I'm listening to everybody speak, what I also heard, right, is that manhood is typically passed down from another man, right? Like women can go to a group of random women and talk and express themselves and vent, and it is completely healthy and normal and culturally and socially acceptable. Typically, men don't get a lot of men, right, impart information to them, right? The expectation is a man, whether it be 12, 8, 18, you're supposed to have it all together and know everything,
Real
right?
quick,
And so when men don't have a man to help show them the way, I think that's where the mental health breakdowns really do come.
real quick, I want to say this on the spiritual thing. I think that automatically, unfortunately, anytime you can have any type of divisiveness, it's hard to make things work as a whole. And I think that that's the
Mhm.
problem with spirituality. If we don't agree, as far as, because most people attach religion and spirituality, which
Mhm.
personally,
That
my perspective, right? I think they're completely two separate
was the
things.
thing. Yep.
So, with that being said, if we were in a position where um I won't say that. I'll say it like this: if 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 people could understand spirituality separated from religion, you could have that conversation. But I think
Mhm.
because some people attach it, right? If it worked for them, it can't work for us because we don't believe what they believe. And I think
Mhm.
that goes a long way with groups. So I think unfortunately, with it, it's hard for us, a lot of us, to get to those conversations about our core self because we attach our spirituality to our religion or to this or to that. And so, there are people who are just like, yo, I'm an energy person, right? Like, that's it. I go off energy. If your energy is
Mhm.
off, I move around. That's all I got. That's all I know. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Some people will hit you with Bible scriptures. Some people
Mhm.
will say, I, I chant 20 times, a day, whatever it
Mhm.
is you do.
I
But
want you to think about it this way, Scotty, because you say, "Oh, well, it's very divisive."
right,
Divisive is just another term of saying it's a one side against the other, positive, negative, yin yang. Okay. Now I want you to think about it like this: we all carry the energy of positive or negative. Our human bodies are like batteries. So just think about a battery and how it functions with the positive side, negative side.
right,
You know what you come with when it comes to your energy.
right.
So we naturally are going to create divisive situations because we are identified different. We from male to female. Look around you. Nature has proven that everything has a split representation.
But
So
all,
when we
but
speak the narrative, hold up, when we speak the narrative of, oh, it's divisive, we already given a false truth because we're not identifying with what really should be identified is how we are opposites, yet we are in harmony with nature. It's yin yang. It only works both opposites can only work in harmony. So we got to work together in harmony, understanding our positive and negatives. Make sense?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you bring in, for example, if I'm just a spiritual person, right, and I'm talking to Butler the evangelist, hypothetically speaking, right, when Butler start hitting me with, you know, because when I get to the brass tacks and go prove it, right,
But
it's
there's
kind of,
nothing to prove in
hold
relation
on,
to his goodness. He's
not
at a
not
higher goodness.
not
That's what
not
Eric
his.
said earlier, right? He was like, hey, everybody has a common law, a common moral standard in relation to what they believe in. That's what I'm checking for. So it's not a matter of, oh, well, we're different. It's where is the common law and moral stand you have in what you believe in?
But
Everything has a higher self. And the doctrine, it goes and flows all the way across, no matter what you believe in. Is that what you stand on? So show me your ways.
right,
So
but
what does it matter who's different than who?
Man, I hate to
my
break
fault,
this.
Butler.
Man, I gotta get to these comments, man, because they're pointed at different people. Let me start here. This is who is this? It says this is Nakomo. I don't know that, mate. We know that. Thank you.
Well,
For
What up, though?
okay, there we go. Thank you. Brandon Reynolds says, great point, Cusp. Lots of times religion or not being of a certain religion creates a barrier among us, when in reality, a good person is a good person devoid of religious background. The commonality, I think, Dante, you were talking about, it should be there. Steph said, Cusp, question. If men do not need a safe space, then why does it feel like they are not sharing emotionally? So table that, Dante. That's a question towards you. Alexis says, well, I guess it depends on what a safe space means to a person. But it's important to be able to release thoughts and feelings to a space where it's safe. So where you won't be ridiculed or embarrassed or taken advantage of. Alexis says, humility. 100% agree, Mr. Intellect. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Brandon Reynolds says, hence the phrase, check your ego at the door. And then Alexis says, that's an interesting perspective on ego. And said, who said that? Harold? She put the laughing, crying emoji. But Dante, or Cusp, excuse me, the question was posed to you, if men do not need a safe space, then why does it feel like they are not sharing emotionally?
Well, men actually, I was saying that men don't need, because they already have the spaces that they consider safe. I just think I'm not sure if you're speaking from a female standpoint when you say it feels like, and it's more an emotional thing. But if so, it's a matter of what are you not interested in that he's doing? A lot of times women discount the areas that he is actually enjoying himself. And so it's just being more attuned to your guy and knowing what his likes are outside of the scope of, is he doing something for me or how it benefits me? And so find that common ground in learning your man. I would say often there was another question raised earlier about, well, how would your partner know what to say or do in the midst of a man who's going through something emotionally? Know what you've chose when it comes to your man. And if you know what you chose, then you have a great responsibility internally that should light a fire up on you to be able to find common balance with him, because naturally we have a responsibility. And I would say often, shit, if you can allow them people to get you up on time to get to work so where you can put in them hours to get that rent and stuff done, then what is your purpose in life outside of the scope of just work? Because that's something that we really have to take into account. What is your true purpose? And if it is to be able to build yourself and the privilege to have a man or a woman in your life, then enjoy it, have fun, but don't just think that you're going to get all the answers from someone that's experiencing the same life that you're experiencing. Find and learn a common ground with him so you'll be able to capture those safe spaces he create for himself. If he's sitting in the garage listening to the radio, smoking him one and sipping him one back, go out there and sit with him. You don't know how much that'll make him feel. Or if he's outside more in the yard, hey, baby, let me just bring you a cup of water. It's those little small things of appreciation that goes a long way for a man's mental health. So take that into account, because men carry their woman's emotions often, and they want to find ways to correct. We're solution people. We build off of solutions. We don't like to hear all of the ins and out about emotions because we carry it. But in return, feminine energy is built off of now nurturing, understanding, finding a common ground through communication, being able to give a peaceful ground and knowledge of who this man is. Build his ego so he'll be able to be better fit to become the authority that he is for you. Because you the power woman, allow him to lead in his authority. That's basically what it is.
Carlos, where's your safe space?
Puerto Alberto.
Because Cusp says everybody has one.
My safe space.
Mm-hmm.
My fucking bed.
You don't have one.
No,
You don't got one. I don't got one. Brother, hold on, brother.
Okay, well, describe it.
Hold on, wait.
Describe it, Scotty.
Brother, where's your safe space?
First, I'm gonna tell you where your safe space is, and I'm gonna tell you where Carlos' safe space is.
I'm listening.
Then I'll tell you where my safe space is.
Go.
Well, Carlos' safe space is it when he's with his son.
Thank you.
When he's doing things with his son, have an opportunity to expose his son to something.
Mm-hmm.
He's different. That's a safe space.
Is he still using his battery?
Scott, no, Scotty.
It's not a safe space. Y'all
Listen,
not being fair, man. Y'all not being fair.
Okay, describe it, Scotty. Describe the safe space.
It don't exist. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna give you an example. I'll give you an example.
Tell Scotty's because Scotty said he don't have one. So
it don't exist.
My safe space, man. When I'm with my daughter, when I'm with my children, man, I'm gonna tell you this. A couple of weeks ago, I had my grandson. Safe space, man. I don't know if you could have upset me about anything. I felt it was good, man. But when I like my best friend, my youngest daughter, man, she like my best friend. I gotta say that. Just because of the conversations, the alignment is just that's a safe space, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a safe space.
This is what I'm saying, man. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know how many of you fellas are married, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what I'm saying. Your woman could come home every day and can complain about work.
Oh, you talking about a tangible, physical?
But there's not a safe space. What I'm saying is, she can come home every day and complain about work, right? You gotta listen.
No.
She has listen. What I'm saying, just hear me out. You don't agree with me, but this is reality. You may not agree with my reality, but I feel like this is reality I feel like this is reality for most men. Hear me out. If my woman comes home and complains about working every day, I gotta listen, right? Because this is why I'm here to support her, right? The same way I can't come home and complain about work to her. You know why? Because she got a job too.
That's your, but this is where it disconnects. That's your reality. And this is something Eric and we would debate often in relation to your perception is your reality. So I listen very well when it comes to how we may convey our message about certain things we experience. And this is just one of those experiential things that you're going through. And I'm more of the listener at that point because I'm trying to identify, okay, how can I assist you in correcting that? Because clearly there's a frustration that's on the back end about this is what I have to do. I don't want to do this shit, but I have to. But on my end of the spectrum, I choose my peace on the basis of what I do. So it's two different perspectives. And so where's a common ground that you choose to be in? And if I'm in a position to where it's like, you know what, I don't mind that space, then I would suggest areas to where you can improve in what you're experiencing. That's mental health. That's where I want to at least find a common ground because it doesn't help me saying, oh, well, yeah, that's your independent thought. Yep. Too bad you're going through that. It's like, no, let me assist you because I'm not experiencing what you're experiencing. So maybe what I'm doing could help alleviate what you're going through right now.
And so what I'm hearing y'all say is that a lot of men don't choose women that are safe spaces.
Exactly.
So in reality, a lot of us are with women for a lot of different reasons.
Exactly.
When we
Safe space
should
ain't
be
one of them.
choosing a partner that's gonna be a safe space. Is that right?
You hit it
No,
there,
no,
Harold,
yeah.
right on the nose.
Talk that talk, man. Talk your
Now,
talk.
when you're able to align with the woman that you can have that peace with, man, you can build mountains. You can, man, it's amazing. But again, you got to tear that barrier, because a lot of men, we talk indirect to each other. You can understand a man's problems on the basis of how indirect he talks. Well, I mean, if you got a woman like this, he's describing his woman. So what do you do to help assist that situation, so when he leaves me, he can at least apply it at home so it can be better for him?
For you being with sons, do you coach that, as far as, I mean, if your son is old enough to date, I don't know, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But like, do you coach that, like, listen, if choose somebody that also provides that? Because I can't lie to you, nobody ever, I'm from a single mother for the most part. Nobody ever had a conversation with me about picking a woman that was a safe space. So do y'all do that with y'all sons? Because I can't front, as a man with 2 daughters, my attitude is like, don't bring nobody home like me.
Alexa says, tell him, Harold.
Talk that talk, man. But do y'all coach that, as far as, like, is that one of the priorities that y'all coach?
Hey man, listen, our oldest son is 16 now, about to be 17 November. I mean, that's all we talk about, man. It's like like if you gonna make it in this world, like, in reality, probably the biggest, hardest decision a man will ever have to make is choosing the right mate. And so my wife and I, we talk to our oldest son all the time about, we can't procreate with somebody who don't have the same destination as us. They don't have the same values, the same beliefs. If she doesn't want to be led, if she doesn't know how to follow, we can't connect with that person, because now you having to carry somebody, and if you want a partner, she don't want to be carried, right? She wants to help carry the load. And so I think a lot of times as men, we end up in relationships or with people for all the wrong reasons, right? Whether it be a kid or convenience, or she's the one that stuck around the longest, whatever the situation is. And I think we got to do a better job of telling men, stop settling.
Stop what you're doing.
Settling. You go get the one you want,
hey, man,
right?
Listen,
Go get the one you want. Don't settle for nothing.
Hey, I'm trying to book Harold right after the show. I need to talk to him for about
No, y'all laughing.
I'm dead serious.
Go get the one you want, man.
I'm be like, hey man, text me Harold number. I just want to ask him about this barbecue recipe, man.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
But I would usually tell, like, for my daughter's sake, I would tell her often, learn the man you with for the lifestyle that you want to live. I tell her that all the time.
Say that again.
Learn the man that you're with for the lifestyle that you want to live. And I've done my best to be able to reflect the lifestyle that she would desire in her man. And that's one of the most important things. But I didn't push it on her. I'm like, let me show you my ways, so you're going to know what it feels and how it and what it means to want to have that. And so her responsibility is if he is someone that you want to build with, encourage him, give him motivation, understand that you have to be able to just build him to the area or the desire that he wants to be. Learn to understand his lead. Like, those are important aspects for her to really take advantage of a relationship into marriage, because I want her to stand like on her worth, because when a man sees that, he's quick to want to snatch her up and call her his own, because he knows at that point, I don't want no other man even getting close to this. So that's what I'm instilling in her. Like, know how to wear your crown and wear it well. But in by doing so, know how to stand next to him, not behind him, next to him.
Tell him, Tell him.
You stupid.
Well, Harold said that she don't want to follow. No, I'm just playing.
Hell said if she don't want to follow.
She ain't the one, okay? She either gonna
He said what he said. And that's
she's
what
gonna be
he
Rosa
said.
Parks or she ain't.
Listen.
I know, man. I know. Listen, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Listen, hey, this is I don't know. Is there any other questions? Gentlemen, we went past the hour, so those of you I know are listen, y'all just don't know the men on this panel, they had things to do. They've shuffled, moved it around to make sure they were here. So I just really want to thank them for being here.
I didn't have shit to do.
Go right ahead.
I didn't have shit to do.
Real quick. Are we wrapping up?
We don't have
okay, wait.
I got my cup. I'm good.
Can I ask you? Last Thursday, I was waiting for this Thursday to come up.
Can I ask you?
Go ahead, Scotty.
Hey, anybody on the panel married? Any married people? Okay, let me ask y'all a question.
18 years on July 9th. So in a couple of days, I'm celebrating 18 years.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the video of Keke Palmer and Usher?
Yeah.
Is she out of bounds?
In relation to her, if she in a position to want to be married with him or to him,
if that's your wife getting serenaded by Usher, is she out of bounds?
Of course.
That's not even a question for a wife position. That's what I'm saying. Wives don't do that.
Wives don't do that.
So what I'm saying is
that's not even a question.
Girls trip to Vegas. Your wives get the VIP. They on the stage. Usher singing to your woman. Is it okay?
Wives in a secure position don't do that.
Okay, hold on.
Is it
the context? Okay, so you say if my wife go out on a girls trip to Vegas, and then she's singing to Usher.
She at the Usher show.
Usher singing to her.
And Usher start singing to her. Usher.
That's fine. Yeah, she do what she wants to. She have a good time.
So that's my question. Is that completely out of bounds, or is she allowed to have that good time? Like it ends at the serenade.
Are you just asking her just having a good time and doing her thing, or are you saying the attire?
Yeah, no, I'm not. To me, I don't think the attire is bogus because I feel like personally, yeah, she a mama, but she can wear it. She look bad in it. So you look bad in it.
Y'all see the video?
Yeah.
Now I ain't seen the video.
No, because I thought the context was everyone was having an issue because of what he said about her representing what she is in relation to who she has as a person in a relationship. Again, if she wants to be married and she's in a relationship, she's out of line because again, I think every woman has a position they have to hold to allow a man to choose you to be married to him. So if you want to be married, then position yourself to be chosen to be married. If you are putting it out there for everybody else, then I'll go with somebody that would provide a bit more peace for me. I don't want to argue back and forth about what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Don't get me wrong, cuz don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to I guess I'm not saying I'm not trying to justify it. So the reason that I brought it up was because the way that I talked to my 21-year-old daughter about it, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that she put it was she felt like the comments he made about the clothes was like, I really can't comment about Usher because I would look like a sucker. So let me complain about what you got on, but I'm still getting my complaint. You feel what I'm saying? Like, oh, you a mom, you shouldn't be out here looking like this.
I gotta ask.
Did you see what she had? Did you see what she had on? I mean, her ass was out. I mean,
it was a sideways shot. It was sideways ass.
No. If you stop from the back, it's whole ass.
So my question is,
it's Keke Palmer though. She be dressing with her ass out.
Now, if there's anybody comfortable with their significant other not in being out and you wearing something with a whole backside, like a back.
Let's say she got a muumuu on. I don't even care about the clothes. What about the serenade? I need to know for married men. Is the serenade?
To me, entertainment.
Is it just entertainment?
I'm gonna be honest.
Come on, I'm gonna be honest with me.
So I'm gonna be honest. The serenade don't sound like the issue to me as a married man.
On that fucking stage.
You said what, Carlos?
You don't. If you don't think if Janet Jackson calls me up on that stage, you don't think I'm going to
go? You going on the stage?
You
regardless of who I'm with, I'm going up on that fucking
on the stage, right? So to me, I got more issues with her dress, with her outfit, with her
think it
character.
was attire, like her doing all of that and enjoying just her fandom over a guy.
You're a girl trip.
I don't care about none of that.
I felt it was more the attire. I mean, now, were they at home and he's like, hey, I don't think you should wear that, or did she have on something different?
Hey, man, listen, man,
she changed. I mean,
this man has posted pictures with her dressed in worse, bro. So I'm not going with the clothes excuse. I really think that he's seeing his woman with her arms around Usher, having the time of her life, and he was like, she don't never look that happy with me. I'm telling you.
I actually agree.
You in deep,
see, when you're a celebrity, and when you're not a celebrity, I mean, it's like, right, like we're regular Joes, but if we was married to a celebrity and
baby daddy,
correct.
Fucking, I don't know, correct. Eddie Murphy came to the house or something. Right. I mean, we're probably gonna be in our feelings, but at the same time, I got with that celebrity though. You know,
listen, man. So
I could have got with a regular one, but I chose to get with that celebrity, and I know what could come with it.
Vice versa. What comes with it? That's right.
If I'm a celebrity and I got, I sweetheart, a lot can come with that shit.
Yeah, and that's my point. This Facebook user, I don't care. It's like, what's the point? I understand mainstream, but from a relational standpoint, if her objective is to get married, and this is for all the women out there who are deciding that they want a family and to be married to a man, know your position and your role and what your worth is.
Know your worth.
Yes, that's it. And if you know that you are trying to identify with one man to court you, then don't show the whole movie to everybody to where it leaves him with only seeing less for what he really would like to see.
That's
very important.
I could be married 20 years. If my wife has a crush on Idris Elba and she run into him in Vegas on a one-time deal, I would be a buffoon to believe she didn't take advantage of her one-time shot. Now, I could be naive. I could have low self-esteem. You can say what you want about me. I'm keeping it all the way funky with you. We're going to be in the car and she's going to be like, nothing happened. I'll be like, oh, it happened because I know it happened. You get what I'm saying? And I could be wrong. I could, it could be, you just jealous, whatever. Say what you want. But like Carlos said, if I'm in Vegas, guys trip, I run across my one-time deal, it just so happens to fall in my lap. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about being out? What are we talking about?
Well, then that I think that's a much deeper conversation.
I'm just saying the serenade. I'm not saying even going all the way. Just the serenade. Just if Carlos is like, hey,
I'm not tripping off the serenade. It depends on what kind of communication, what kind of relationship, what kind of connection and understanding you have with your significant other.
With your wife.
Amen. Amen.
So if y'all had that, and now if those boundaries get crossed, but
Usher was respectful too. It ain't like he had his hand on her ass or
nothing like that.
No, I just think that I'm telling you, I think her man seen a happy face that he ain't seen. I'm telling you, it was a happy face, and she was like, "Wait, what is that happy face? I ain't never seen that happy face."
And also on the cool, a lot of cats be high capping when she with you dressed like that, because you feel like you winning and you trying to you flogging in front of other dudes. My chick is bad and she tough, whoop-de-woo. But then when she go out on her own with the same outfit, now you feel a little different because now other cats is shooting at her, hollering at her. And I feel like if that's your lady and you respect your relationship, y'all should have the same standard. Let's keep it 100 all the way around. Don't be different at the house, and then when she go on girls' crib, the girls trip. Now you want to be funny. She was dressed that way. You saw the dresses she had at the house. She got 20 of them like that. But now because she out and other people see your shit ain't as tight as you claim it to be. Now you want to get emotional. Don't be emotional now because other people hollering at her. I think some guys just be low key, be in their emotions, dog. But they really don't be consistent and 100 across the board.
But it goes back to the choice that you were saying. Like it's in all in who you choose. Like these dudes know who these dudes know who they walking around with, and that's where ego comes in play because that ego wants somebody to say something to his gal while she out damn near butt naked. So
that was good, cuz
again, I don't have the quality to even try to entice or entertain that goofy stuff because there is again. My perspective is coming from a different type of woman that I know have no problems understanding what a man that is of a certain caliber that she desired, because that man is going to be sure he gonna hold her down and she good. So that other spectrum, man, I don't even know what that is. Like people gonna argue back and forth about clothes and all that other shit. Sexy is sexy, but hey, if you trying to position yourself to win with a guy that he's gonna choose you for, then hey, know your role. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just know your role.
If I'm dating Kiki Palmer and she want to go to Vegas with her ass out, guess who not mad?
Right.
I got an angry bone in my body.
Hey, because when we at the steakhouse and we swiping, I ain't mad then, so don't get mad now.
See you when you get back, baby. Have fun. Take pictures.
It depends on who you with. And Carlos said, if you a celebrity, you already know there's going to be a different level of the exposure, who they'll be around, who they can be around. So that, I mean, that's understanding yourself and what you're getting into. Make sure you understand who you're choosing to link your life with and procreate.
And you got to have them conversation early on. Man, like when you start dealing with a person, you got to have a conversation about what your standard is. Don't wait till she get out there and then she embarrass you, and then now you embarrass yourself. Now you want to speak up. Well, it's too late. Well,
I got a first time rule, right? I feel like when something offends you the first time, that's when you should say something about it. Like if somebody get to do something 2-3 times and you don't say nothing, you got to take the L. You got to take that L.
You culpable. You 50% culpable in what's going wrong in your life. So then you got to accept accountability that you ain't running your household the right way. So don't cry and complain on social media because you ain't running your household. That's a personal issue. You don't cry to me. I don't feel bad for you.
That's my take on it. I don't feel bad for you or nothing. It's like that you run your household like that. As a man, you got something that you got issues with. You need to fix. Right. There's no excuse on why you saying, I gotta ask to do this or she gonna let me do that. Fuck is going on? No, that ain't happening. No.
Hey man, listen, we got one more question. We got one more question and we're gonna wrap up. Aspen Smith said, what do y'all think about Lizzo? So this might not be a serious question. Is worth boiled down comparison. No comparison. Moments.
Listen, man, I don't knock Lizzo. This is what I learned, man. If somebody like it, you gotta respect it. That's kind of how I operate when it comes to music and television and all that. Yeah. If somebody like it, I remember being in my 20s and I used to hate the Yin Yang Twins. Right? Or I remember being 14 and I was like, why does anybody listen to Two Live Crew? Then I went to a house party where they listen to Two Live Crew and I completely understand why DJs play Two Live Crew. That's a hustle. It has nothing to do with the hustle. If you put a Luke record on in 94, asses hit the floor. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if you was at your mama house, your auntie house, if people was pregnant, you was in the emergency room. If you played some Luke in 94, it went down. Right. So that's what I mean from that angle. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, Cuz, because I think that one of the things that I enjoy is that, like, I understand that you have a very, very strong angle you come from. And I love bouncing stuff off you because a lot of times I don't even know if I agree with some of the stuff I say. I just be wanting to hear how y'all feel about stuff, if that makes sense. Because I feel like there are a lot of people who might feel that way. Or I come across people like if we talking a subject that I don't really know about, you know what I'm saying? But I can only reference people I know, then I just bounce stuff off. Not just necessarily say that's how I feel, but you know what I'm saying, man? I love this. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
Man, I thank all of y'all, man. So we rolled a whole nother 30 on that. So
I'll send you the bill.
Huh?
I'll send you the bill.
All right, bet that. And obviously there's plenty more different topics, aspects, you know. So I just want everyone to make sure, hey, go check out Introspective Soul Inc. Make sure you look up Mr. Harold Rayfield. Harold, we're gonna use the last 2 minutes. Everybody talk about your tags and how they can contact you if they would like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me, Harold Rayfield. You can just Google me. I'll come up somewhere in Oklahoma City, but again, I'm licensed in the states of Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia. Do life coaching, counseling. Also on Instagram with my wife, we share a platform, Love and Soul Couples, and so we're working on some premarital stuff for couples, just kind of getting to the down and dirty stuff and doing some other stuff like that. So I always happy to work with couples and families about that kind of stuff. So thank you for the opportunity, fellas.
Absolutely. Cuss.
Huh. Oh, I thought you already.
You check that on. Yeah, you see, you getting old. It's like past your bedtime.
Man, hey, yeah. So y'all could again at introspective_soul_inc. You can also look at my artwork at DM Expressions. That's at DM Expressions with the S at the end, and that's where your artwork. Both are on Instagram. And then I also have some other cool shit that I got going on. And follow my website, Introspective Soul. And yeah, I just appreciate everybody for allowing the platform and, you know, all of the production and stuff. But yeah, that I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
All right. Scotty Knox.
Yeah, man, listen, Google it, put it in iTunes, put it in Apple, put it anywhere you can, man. That's all I can say to you. That's why I put the @ sign in front of it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Mr. Carlos Moore.
I'm private. Try to find me.
Yeah, I got it. And I do want to make note that Scotty Knox is authored and as well as Cuss. So look for their books. It will give you a little bit of a insight in them. Other than that, man, I really just thank you all, man. Appreciate the fellowship, and I think our viewers really enjoyed it. Send us some comments if you have questions, any other things. I'll try to make sure I circle that around to them. Other than that, we thank you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Now, me and my co-host will be running the ship back. Doc will be back, and we'll have something very interesting to go into. So, hey, with that being said, we thank you. Everybody be well. Hey, live in truth, operate in balance, and always respect reality. All righty.